All righty, good morning. Saturday morning of reunion weekend. How are we all doing? Oh, so some of you didn't go out last night. Okay. All right, well, we still have another night. So I want to thank you all so much for coming back to campus for reunion and for giving us a little of your time this morning. Matt was just telling me some news I don't know about yet. So we've got some hot off the press scoop here for everybody, including myself. So I'm really excited to get started. For those of you who don't know, our president, Matthew Chattel, became president of Russell Sage College in July of 2024 and is spearheading historic growth, an ambitious new strategic plan, and a transformative merger with the Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Wait for it. To create Russell Sage University. That will happen in fall of 2027, of course, for you attorneys, pending regulatory approval. Chattel serves as a trustee for the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities in New York and secretary of the Executive Committee of New American Colleges and Universities. He is co-chair of the Capital Region Higher Ed Alliance, 16 private and public colleges and universities in the Capital Region Chamber, aimed at increasing college attainment to spur economic growth and community wellness. He is a frequent speaker at local, state, and national conferences. Before coming to Sage, bless you, he served as Dean of Ohio University's College of Fine Arts and held high-level leadership roles at Florida State and Rider universities. He earned a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD in music and music theory from Yale University. President Chattel.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. I loved reunion weekend last year, and this year's even better. It's because I think the class of 71 is here. I'm sorry. I love all the other classes too, don't get me wrong. But Marianne, it is so good to see you. Thanks for being here, and I'm looking forward to a conversation. I don't normally need notes, but there's so many good things happening that I brought a page so that I make sure I don't forget anything. So.
Well, I've got some really good questions, so I have 3 pages. Well, let's get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Matt, you've been here just under 2 years, but it feels like there's been a decade worth of activity already. What would you say is the most exciting development?
I'm looking at my 2 cabinet members in the room. Has it been 10 years? Probably, that's about right. Caroline, our board chair, thank you for being on this wild ride with us. It's been incredible, hasn't it? And I see so many people here who volunteer, who spend their time and energy to help move Sage forward. I mean, everything from our incredible board members. I've seen at least 3 of them in the room. Shake your hand. And people who have been on our boards, our alumni boards. I know this is an incredible ride. 2 cabinet members, raise your hand. You don't have to raise your hand, it's fine. Recent alum who sat on the student government last year, or like 2 years ago. I'm so pleased to have you back, Megan, that's so good. This is just a group effort, what we have all done together, and the platform that was laid before I even got here is what we have been building on. Sage was amazing many, many, many years ago. It's been amazing the whole time. And what has happened is the world has finally caught up with us. And I think that's really just an exciting spot. So we entered into July of 2024 with a great platform, with incredible human beings in place, with a board chair and a board that was ready to see the future and to act quickly when needed. And boy, we have done that. And with that platform in place, Sage has never been stronger. And I'm so excited about that because it's a hard time to be strong in higher education. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But why don't I start by just telling you a little bit about merger, because I'm gonna fill I could easily fill 2 hours with all the cool things we're doing, but the merger is indeed transformative. What you probably don't know is that in 36 hours, we will be signing our official change in ownership documents. That's the final legal piece that puts us together as one legal corporation. We have to spend a year in Department of Education regulatory approval in order to get all the financial aid merged, but that's a different part of the process. That's not the same as really becoming one legally taxable entity. So we have this weird transition year where we are the sole member of ACPHS. We belong all to one entity. We have provisional approvals as of a week ago from the New York State Department of Education and the Board of Governors and Middle States Accreditation. This is a really big deal. So I'll tell you a funny story. So about 10 days ago, our lawyers, one of our many lawyers called us up and said, well, I've got some good news, but it's gonna sound like bad news. So just listen, hear me out. And I said, okay. He said, well, we're on the agenda for the Board of Governors for the state of New York. And we were on the consent agenda, which, as you all know, just means all in favor say aye, we're done. But they took us off because they want to talk about it. And I said, oh my gosh, you're kidding. I'm nervous. And he said, no, they want to talk about it as the model for what higher education should be doing in the state of New York. It is so exciting. So when I say board members, thank you, Caroline, who works way harder than I do, and here's the thing, not only does she not get paid, but she supports us with every bit of her philanthropy. But she works nights, weekends, holidays, even while she's golfing, I understand. And what the Board of Governors did in their meeting is they talked about how incredible the leadership of Russell Sage was to take this on in a time where we didn't have to do it. We're financially good. We're moving forward. We're winning. We're doing the right things. But because it made sense to do this, because it's rational, because pulling together the great work we're doing in the health areas with pharmacy and biotech, things like cytology. How many of you know what cytology is? Excellent. You were way ahead of me. Because 2 weeks ago, I didn't know what cytology was. What I didn't know is that's one of the fastest growing medical needs. The need is almost as big as nurses. And our nursing shortage is 40,000 people. So we have a lot of work to do on the nursing side. Cytology with a bachelor's degree, starting salaries are in the 120,000 range. I know you're all like, okay, well, sign me up. Don't tell our faculty that, right? So what's happening at College of Pharmacy is actually incredible. There's a researcher there who is learning how to make AIDS virus go to sleep in cells. You can't get rid of it, but you can make it go completely dormant. And he's got several patents ready to go on how to do this process. I can't believe the research and the ideas and the work that's going out of there. They have the #1 acceptance rate in medical school in the nation at 86%. That is unbelievable. So you take that and you put it together with all of our wonderful bedside practice, our nursing, our PT, our OT, we have nutrition. There are so many opportunities for us to connect across those dots and to really take what's happening at the lab bench and move it to bedside. So when you think about the research, the ability to create transformational care in the future, the #1 problem with pharmaceuticals isn't whether you get prescribed the right drugs, although that's obviously a major problem. It is whether you actually take them. And that's a solution that doesn't just require pharmacists to make you the right prescription. It requires a whole team of people, from expressive arts therapies to theater to the history majors, to figure out how do we affect people in their ability to choose something different. Anyway, I'm waxing long, but you get the idea. You bring that together, and then just from a financial standpoint, they have about 760 students right now. We're right now at 3,200, so that makes us a 4,000 student university. That approval process includes the provisional approval of the name Russell Sage University, which is so exciting. And so you put that together with one of the largest private schools in the region, ready to serve all of the healthcare needs of the region, ready to serve in so many ways. And to become a truly comprehensive university, we're making a whole bunch of investments in other places so that we aren't just a healthcare provider. That's not what we do. What we do is we pull together all these wonderful professional areas with a general education core that I have never seen anywhere else, that is about career preparation, which is about lifetime learning. It recognizes that the pathway from undergraduate degree to a lifetime of thriving is not a straight line. It is just like my hair, just as curly, and we need to prepare students for that pathway. And so as we make investments in multiple areas, that's going to be really important. I will tell you one, and then I promise you I'm going to tell you more later. I don't know, how many of you have seen the national news about our criminal justice program? Awesome, okay, a lot of you. So not one, not two, but 3 separate cases that the police couldn't solve this last year that we solved for them in our cold case center. So Tina Lane and her team of students, and those students are extraordinary. How many of you saw the webinar with Tina and the students? Several of you did, right? You just see the passion and the excitement about looking at dead bodies. I don't understand it. But you know, a lot of our nursing students feel the same way. So I think it makes sense. You can see how it fits with our mission. We like cadavers, I guess. But it is just one of those ways where we show balance. So I'll talk about at least 2 other ways later on, but I'm going to get to whatever your next question is.
Oh, good. Well, you've actually given us a nice update on where things stand and what's next. What will change, and how has that been received by the public? I'm getting into Katie Couric mode here now, sorry.
No. So, hi. Thanks for coming in. Well, so what will change? What really changes is the ability to grow the student experience. So we already have students who are clamoring to go over to the world-class laboratories at the Life Science Building over at Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences to be engaged in world-class research with faculty, side by side. That's an opportunity we sort of have now, but that is really going to truly manifest. It's also the opportunity, I think I want to do pharmaceutical research, or let's say, even better, I want to actually serve the public. I want to be a behind-the-counter pharmacist. I'm guaranteed a job any location in the country, or out of the country for that matter. I'm guaranteed a good starting salary. I have flexibility of life, but you know what? I also love musical theater. So suddenly, I get to be on the basketball team and be in the musical theater show and do all the things that Sage provides. And you know what? You want to live in a beautifully restored townhome in Troy, New York, and be on the Gilded Age? Well, you can do that too. How many of you are signing up for the Gilded Age? Have you seen them around? Yeah. If you notice that when you walk down 2nd Street, they look you up and down to see if you make a good extra, it's actually really true. Every time I walk up and down there, they're like, it's amazing. So that opportunity to really connect who we are. You want to be a Women's Institute ambassador? We have a waiting list for our Women's Institute ambassador program this year. That is so exciting. I can't believe it. That connection. So the student experience gets to grow. And I think that's the part that we're so excited. Our faculty experience gets to grow. Those faculty who have been doing really, really great research on the Russell Sage College side suddenly have a whole team and a whole army of people to help support that work. If you want to do translational connections, if you want to co-teach a course that talks about how do you take world-class research into practice, I think that those opportunities exist in a way that haven't existed before. What else will change? Nothing. And I think that's what's really important. Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, so proud. They're one of the oldest pharmacy schools in the nation. They have 146 years of history, and they deserve to live in that history, and we can build off that platform the way that we build off our own 109 years. Right? I'm going to have to remember that in just a few months it'll be 110, so I'm gonna have to think about that. So the first thing you see when you get to this Troy campus is, well, the first thing I see, because I look at it every morning when I open my shades, hopefully with pajamas on, because everybody can see me when I open my shades in the morning. And I look out and I see Sage Hall. And you know that is the oldest Sage building on our campus, actually built before Russell Sage College was created. That was Margaret Olivia, and she badgered old Mr. Russell Sage into giving that building, and he reluctantly did so. And so that building is the monument to our incredible history in Troy and to what it means to take over that Emma Willard School and make something so meaningful and that has changed so many lives. And to have that be the building that, for whatever reason, we chose to renovate this year, soup to nuts, beautiful. I got to tour 2 weeks ago. It is incredible. I spent a lot of time in Caroline's old room, which is the nicest room on campus. In fact, Jen and I decided we're just moving in, so that's it. We'll just live with the students. It'll be so much fun. It is going to be so perfect. But what you won't see when you go on a tour, because they probably won't let you there, is you won't see things like the attic or the basement, because they're not really for public consumption. But what I see they did is they prepared that building for a lifetime. In fact, many lifetimes, because 110 years is much more than most of us have in our lives. But those spaces are clean, ready, well lit. All of the systems are put centrally so that you can access them. And so those buildings can be maintained forever and ever and ever. Why am I saying this? Because I like metaphors. So when you think about both this wonderful history that building represents, and now we have a beacon of the future at the very front of our campus, we're going to be putting first-year students in Sage Hall in the fall, which is so exciting.
Wow, lucky. So lucky.
I know. To be part of that, to be right at the front of what it means to be Troy, and on the face of it, it's beautiful, it's exciting, it's compelling, you want to be part of it. And then to understand that underneath the hood, it's built to last. To me, that's the metaphor. That's what we're building across the entire process. So having our two campuses, having students move back and forth, have the ability to do all the things that a comprehensive university allows, that is what we're most excited about. We've changed dining services too, so that suddenly, even though we're not fully merged, in the fall, our students will have the choice of 4 different places to eat. We'll have a food truck, so the athletic events will have food and refreshments. They'll have hot and cold dining lockers, so if you want your food to be ready for you at 9 p.m., I know, I'm sorry, Megan. We just missed it. But you're in your theater rehearsal. Megan's a superstar, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but she's so talented, so extraordinary. But if you have a theater rehearsal, goes till 8 p.m., you get on your app, you order your food, you go to your hot locker, it's sitting there hot for you. You know what? If you get to 10 p.m. and all of you nurses in the room are like, well, is that food poisoning in the making? It times out after food safety hours, so don't worry. So you think about where we're engaging our history and our future and the modernization and really bringing those experiences together. These are things that this merger allows. So a net assets of $250 million, an endowment that's going to be well over $110 million. This is what a contemporary, solid, meaningful, lasting institution needs to look like, and we're going to be there. And that is just so exciting.
It is, it really is. So with all of these changes, how will we preserve the Russell Sage identity in the merger?
Well, let's start with all of you. First of all, I know better than to mess with our identity because all of you will keep me honest. Thank you.
No, but seriously, it's this connection to our history. It's what the alumni bring to the table. Every time I meet one of you, I hear your story. You talk about what it means to be a Red Devil or to participate in Rally Day. Sorry, everybody else, or Blue Angel or Purple Cow or Golden Horseshoe. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave anybody out. What it means to have that SAGE experience. When you tell me about how you snuck out of your dorms in the middle of the night and went over to RPI, I know nobody here did that, but those stories, Rally Day, all of those connections, our history, those are traditions that we will preserve. It's really important to preserve those traditions. They don't just live in the Women's Institute, although what the Women's Institute is doing is awesome and so exciting, and we get to celebrate it even more later today. But it lives throughout our spirit of who we are. So when you look at our U.S. News rankings from last year, and we have been ranked top 25 institution in the nation among national universities for social mobility, that is because that is our identity and has been for 109, almost 110 years. It doesn't just happen. You don't make a choice on Thursday and Friday that happens. That is a practice. An ability to keep costs as low as possible so that students can make that transformative decision. That is a way that we work. That's why we work so hard, is because we know it's all about putting those students first and making sure those students have that transformative experience. Whether you are ready to win the Nobel Peace Prize the day you enter Russell Sage College, or whether you're Carlos and you're an adult learner and you have been working the night shift at Albany Med for 25 years and you just want to spend more time with your family, and so you're going to sign up for that nursing doctorate because that means that you can work during the day. Those things matter, and we are there for all of those students, and that's a transformative experience, and that is who we are. So our values stay the same. Our identity as Russell Sage stays the same. We're going to preserve parts of our logo so that we ensure that our branding stays the similar. We're watching our branding so carefully. I'm looking up at Jen Gish, who just keeps us just right on track all the time. We have built and put so much energy into our identity because you deserve it, because Russell Sage deserves it, and because frankly the world deserves to have 110 years from now another huge group of alumni sitting not in this room because we won't fit, but sitting wherever we can fit, the 500 people who come back for reunion. That really is about who our identity is. And so we will have multiple iterations of that identity, but the core remains absolutely the same. And you better believe none of you are going to let it go, and that's good.
So Matt, you are a college president, and on top of a merger, you also had to do a strategic plan. What are the highlights?
So our strategic plan, Sage Forward, was passed by the board in late October, and we officially kicked it off in January. I know many of the people in the room who've been working on it are like, oh, did we do that this January? Because of course this is in the middle of all the other things. We did an incredible process. We had literally thousands of voices involved in helping us design what are those things that really matter to us. I will tell you, how many of you have worked in higher ed in the past? All right, a big number of you. So strategic plans in higher ed tend to all look the same. So everybody does all this effort and everybody comes together and you spend thousands of hours putting together a plan that looks exactly like the plan you could have just stolen off the web and put your name on it. And I'm really pleased that what we did, and I don't know if this was Jen's idea or whether this was Terry's idea or Caroline's idea, but somebody came up with a great idea that we should have a separate pillar that says guarding our distinctiveness. That says, this is what makes us different than everybody else, and let's put that in here. So we developed around 6 pillars and realized it really boiled down to 4 strands or 4 threads. And, lots of people talk about strategic plans and pillars, but those are monolithic and they live separately. And somebody, I think it was Kirk, said, no, these are threads because they weave together. They all connect. They need to be closer together. So we kept pushing them and squeezing them and realizing there was overlap. So anyway, there are 4 areas. 2 are really about who we are, how do we identify what our students are doing, and where they're going, and how do we help remove as many barriers as possible to an extraordinary SAGE experience? And those are the first two threads, if you will. These include, for instance, a whole host of things that we're doing with our Women's Institute. So the Women's Institute is a distinctive offering at Russell Sage College. We have Women's Institute ambassadors. We have a relationship with the Times Union and the Women at Work series, where we're providing leadership training not only to women leaders in our community, but also to our women alumni. That leadership training isn't just, learn a little bit about leadership. These are actual entrepreneurship, finance, things that can help women to grow and become part of our MBA program, our Flex MBA program. So those generate college credits. And so that kicks off, I think, in a week. I'm so excited the Women's Institute is sponsoring what it means to be a woman in leadership in today's world with that and multi-generational mentorship, everything from the work we're doing with middle school to high school students on campus through Girls Inc., and our Women's Institute ambassadors are mentoring them. And then you bring the women leaders from the community in. And you were at an event at Vail House, Ronnie, where the women leaders in the community got to meet and mentor our Women's Institute ambassadors. It's a distinctive program, and it is special, and that's why we have a waiting list. We accepted 15. We have a bunch of folks on the waiting list. It is just incredible. And with Shelley, who did such a good job of laying the groundwork for the Women's Institute, and then now Eileen Brunell, who's been in that leadership position for the last year, there's no stopping it. It is so exciting. On the student front, one of the things we did, so Caroline and I were in a conversation one time, and I said, guess how many of our undergrads who are crossing the stage at this year's commencement. This was a year ago, right? And I said, guess how many of them are actually students who started with us as 18 and graduated at 22? What percentage would you think? I would have guessed 65, 70%, right? That would be reasonable. But it's really under 40%. The majority of Russell Sage students are either graduate students or students who have transferred from another institution, who've come in from a community college or have gone to another institution and realized they weren't getting the experience they needed and needed to come here, and we're really happy to have them. So who our students are is not a monolithic, and I think that's really the key. So what we did is we divided them into 5 personas, although to be fair, we could have 10, but 5 is enough. Everything from our fuzzy 18-year-old who comes in and is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready for a 4-year experience, and they graduate on time and everything's perfect, except it's not, right? There's so many barriers that those 4-year students achieve or have to cross over, and we're going to do everything we can in our power to remove those barriers, because our commitment to them is, you're coming to Russell Sage, you might be taking out a loan, you might be receiving philanthropic support from all the wonderful people in this room who support us, and our responsibility to you is to do everything in our power to help you graduate ready for the world. Everything in our power. And when I say everything, I look into the eyes of 95% of our faculty, and they know exactly what I mean, and that's what's amazing. And the other 5%, I have to say, everything in our power, right? But it is really, truly exceptional, and that's, and so that 18-year-old. But what about the transfer student who comes in, took a couple years off from college, has some college credits from a couple different spots? I had one in my office the other day who's literally the smartest student I've ever met, besides Megan, who's here. And you would be friends, for sure. And she said, yeah, well, I started at Union, and I had a medical problem. I had to step out. And then I went to HVCC for a couple of classes, Hudson Valley Community College for a couple of classes, and I had to step out. She said, I have my last surgery next week. But thank God I had this problem, because where I landed was exactly where I was meant to be. This student is going to change the world, folks. I'm not kidding. She's just so brilliant. She comes to my office. The reason she comes to my office is because every time she does, she has a list of 15 things we need to do better. And and she's right. That's the problem, right? I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So I create follow-up lists from her list. It is incredible how she understands what we're doing. But I think she's 24 or so. And how do we make sure that this student has had a fair experience, that all of those disparate pieces we connect in the community? I already told you about Carlos, who's a real student, by the way. In fact, what I did is I called up Carlos and I said, look, how's your new job going? So he graduated, he's now working the day shift. He's so happy he gets to spend time with his kids after school. He gets to actually help them with homework. He's extraordinary. He said, oh, it is so awesome. I love my new job. And I said, I hate to ask, but what is your salary? And he said, he told me a little bit about what he was making. I was like, oh, wow, all right. Well, let me sign me up for a nursing doctorate. And I said, well, what kind of car are you driving? And he said, well, I'm driving a brand new Honda. It's really lovely. And I said, can I ask you a question? What is your student loan payment like? And he said, well, it's not so bad. It's this amount. It's tied to, how much money I make. And I said, well, I'm sorry to be asking you all these questions, but I'm trying to understand, the student mind. What is your student loan payment? And he told me, and it's way less than his car payment. And I thought, well, goodness gracious, like Honda is a really great car. I mean, really. But 5 years from now, it's not worth, a quarter of what it was today. But his college education is going to pay for a lifetime. And we'll talk about this later, but that is, to me, sort of the driving force of the strategic plan is we need to remove all of the barriers, no matter what kind of student you are. If any of you want to come back and get another degree, we're ready for you. That's the point, right? My grandmother got her PhD 2 years before I did. My mom got her PhD a year before I did. So we all wore the same robe 3 years in a row, which is to say, it's never too late. There's always an opportunity, and SAGE is here for all of the people all the time. And I think that is really the message, is that our future relies on making those decisions and being really conscious about every student that we have. To sit in our freshman or sophomore or junior showcase and have undergraduates who are in their 60s and undergraduates who are in their 19s and 20s and in their 30s and in their 40s, and to see that intergenerational connection, that makes us richer and better, and I love that.
That's awesome. What does enrollment look like for the fall?
Very, very good. I didn't look at this morning, but Jen, you can shout it out if you did. But as of 3 days ago, we are at 330 registered students for the fall. That's just first time in college. That's not transfer. We're at well over 90 transfer students. This is our largest enrollment that I know of in at least 8 years. Is that right, Jen? I'm looking at you. In at least 8 years. Our total student size is the largest in over 25. We are over 100 ahead of last year. So all of the work that this incredible team and the rest of our leadership team has been doing is paying off. Our faculty are out there, they're telling our story. Jen is helping to get news stories left, right, and center, even making news out of things I never thought were news. Like I love a baseball team. I knew many of you watched them. They were so exciting to watch. We had the #1 base stealer in the nation, so it was actually exciting. I shouldn't have said actually. It was very exciting. Baseball is very exciting sometimes. And to watch them play was extraordinary. And they finished the season as not only our regular season champions, but the conference champions. They went to the NCAA tournament. They won a game. Then they didn't win a game. And it's okay. That's the way it works. But they were ranked in the top 20 nationally. But they missed commencement. So we did a separate commencement ceremony for them, which was just a lot of fun. It was super sweet to have everybody there. The whole team came out to support each other. A small thing. And Jen Gish pitched this to the newspaper, and we were on the cover of the newspaper for doing what any rational college would have done for their baseball players, but it was just really, really amazing. So that kind of press is playing well, and they just know. When in December, when the chair of our education program said, look, we adopted this center, we're working with the Center for Positive Education. Have you heard about this? Okay, so the Center of Positive Education is an organization that has produced these principles that educators should be learning in order to ensure that teachers and students are building resiliency. We have a huge teaching shortage in the nation. It is very hard to be a teacher right now. How many of you are educators? All right, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, what we have done is absolutely fundamentally changed our curriculum. We're working with, I think, 11 superintendents to help them to do retroactive training for teachers in the principles of positive psychology, not just to build resilience for our students, but to also build resilience for our teachers. We hope we can have a center for an institute for positive education named in the near future. We think this is just the way education has to go. And I was telling you this for a really good reason, and I can't remember why.
Maybe the video links on the Russell Sage YouTube. So a lot of these webinars that you've been mentioning.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
you can all access.
You can access this.
I'm looking at Jen.
Yeah, that's right. I'll come back around to why I was telling you this. But this is really important. And I think these investments are really critical to our future. And I will remember why I told you that in just a moment.
All I asked about was enrollment.
Enrollment, yes.
But you went on a great tangent there.
Yeah, well, it's the positive news, I think, is really what I'm saying in so many different areas. That really is the driving force. And it's not just that we are doing good things. We're doing so many of the right things in an environment where higher education is struggling. The news about higher education nationally isn't so great. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Which brings me to my next question. How has the federal landscape impacted Russell Sage?
Well, there you go. Perfect landing spot. Thank you, Marianne.
You're welcome.
So the public trust in higher education has never been lower than it is today. There are inklings of good news around 7th and 8th graders. Oh, I remember why I was going to tell you that story. Speaking of 7th and 8th graders, in December, we went out to a 5th grade school and we admitted all those students from 5th grade. And, one kid in the back, I said, what do you want to, I, of course, talked about be, know, and do. So I asked them what they wanted to be, what they wanted to know, and what they wanted to do. And this shy kid from the back row, and this is a school where only 20% of the students ever go to college. I mean, this is a tough school. And the kid raised his hand and he said, what I want to do when I grow up is I want to cure cancer. One of my classmates passed away from cancer, so I want to cure cancer. And I thought, just come sign up right now. We'll get you in college classes because we want you to do that too. We're ready for you. That's our future. And when we build that hope in the 5th grader and we say, no, you are college material. You're college material now. And when you're ready to come to college, you're going to be college material then. We know if you just do these things, we will figure it out. We have enough philanthropic partners. We have enough connections with the state. We are going to do everything we can to make sure that you have that transformative experience so that you can actually cure cancer. How does this relate to the federal landscape? That confidence in higher education is nonsensical. It's not right. It's based on bad information. It is based on a set of pressures that are coming from federal government, from an anti-intellectualism, from things that higher ed really did do. I mean, the average retention rate, which is how many students stay from fall to fall across all higher ed institutions in the nation, is 60%. That is embarrassing. And higher ed needs to own that. We need to start and say, remember when I said we're going to look everybody in the eye and say we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you graduate with a college degree and that transformative experience. If we're not doing everything we can, and you come and you take out a loan and you just missed the boat because you missed a class, or there was a class that just you didn't do well on, and we don't build a system around that where we say, okay, we got you. It's okay. You're allowed to make a mistake. And here's what we're going to do to make sure that you really understand what you need to know for the next step. Or, hey, you know what? Maybe nursing isn't going to be the right thing for you at this moment, but you know what? We have this other thing for you. Have you considered cytology? Call back, right? But so that's our job. And so higher ed has to own part of that, right? We're all close to 80% on our retention rate. And what we do is we beat our US News prediction by about 17%. So they predict we're going to graduate 17% fewer students, and we beat that prediction by doing everything we can. That's why we're so highly ranked. But the landscape is not good, and the federal government capped federal graduate loans. So if you want to come back and do a nursing degree, for instance, the federal government has decided that you are not a professional degree. What? I am apolitical, but when it matters, when it gets in the way of doing the work that higher ed has to do, then that makes me upset, and that's not okay. So we are doing everything we can to navigate these waters. So with grad loans reduced significantly, we're having to fill the gaps. So I spent probably a month on the Capitol, going from door to door, working with New York State legislators on every way that they can help fund higher education, not just for public schools, which is where they tend to put their money, but reminding them that 51% of college degrees in the state of New York are from private school, and 80% of nursing degrees, and what, 60%, is that the number of teaching degrees? Something like that. We are filling the workforce gaps in areas that are critical, and you can't ignore us. And we're doing it without a dime of taxpayer money. All right, I shouldn't say not a dime, because that's not really fair, because we got a $2.6 million grant to help support Sage Hall. But other than that, no dime, right? And that's okay. We're fine. Just don't make it harder for us, because we're good partners. And so being in there, the actual average cost of a higher education degree has dropped by $3,000 in today's dollars over the last 5 years. The average amount of loan upon graduation is actually about the same for a SUNY school and Russell Sage. So you think, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this place where the taxpayer, thank you all for taxpayers in the state of New York, for paying for my education, or I can pay a lot of money and go to Russell Sage, and that's not how it works. It's about 2 iPhones different. And you know what an iPhone costs, it's not that much, right? And so you take that over 20 years, it's basically nothing, right? It's pennies on the dollar. And yet, we're gonna put you in a class with 15 students or 12 students, and we're gonna look you in the eye and say, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure you graduate. So we are doing the right work. Anyway, so this is the story that I'm telling to our legislators, and you can see that they kind of run down the hallways away from me when they see me coming, but it's really important. So here's good news, is that on, I guess, today's Saturday. So 2 days ago, I got word from the governor's office that I have been nominated to the HESC board. And I'm going through Senate confirmation this week. The HESC board is the Higher Education
Services Corporation.
Yeah, that one. Citizens Corporation. It is Services Corporation. It runs all of the grad loans, undergrad programs, state funding for higher education. And so that's a sign that some people are paying attention to the story that Russell Sage has to tell and why we're doing it. And then this coming Thursday, in a move that I think is incredible. Again, Jen Gish orchestrated all of this. In fact, I wasn't really even aware. I saw it on the calendar. I didn't know what it was. And I discovered that on Thursday, the SUNY system has a statewide conference, and all the presidents from the SUNY system come together, and they talk about higher education. And somehow Jen managed to arrange an entire panel that's just me at the SUNY conference.
Impressive.
What? Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about college attainment and why we need to work together, the SUNY schools and the private schools, to make sure that citizens of New York are getting a college education. So the Lumina Foundation has set a goal of 70% college attainment by 2030. If we are 2035, sorry, if we're going to remain competitive globally, 70% of adults need to have some kind of college credential by 2035 in order to stay competitive nationally. Nationally, we're at about 58%. So that's a big bar. In the capital region of the great state of New York, we're at 53%. 53%. All of you who are Massachusettsites and live in Boston, I'm sorry, we're just not like you. Boston is 13 percentage points ahead of us. You look at the capitals of Maryland, all the northeastern states, we don't match up. Bear with me, I'm gonna do some math, and I'm also practicing for Thursday, so just prepare. So if you multiply the capital region of the state of New York, the population, by that 13% gap between us and Boston, that's 150,000 adults that need a college credential. Well, goodness gracious, that's a huge market. And what I did is I went to all 16 regional college presidents and I said, look, there are 150,000 students in our region alone that need a college credential for us to be competitive. Let's stop worrying about whether I'm gonna get the student or you're gonna get the student, because there's 150,000 is more than we can actually serve. Let's instead work together to make sure that we're telling the same message, whether you're a SUNY school, whether you are a community college, whether you are Maria College, whether you are Union or Skidmore, we all are telling the same message, which is that you still need a college education, that it is worthwhile, that your earnings over a lifetime are going to be somewhere in the range of $500,000 if you have an associate's degree, to $2.5 to $3 million more over your lifespan if you earn a college credential. And you multiply that by $150,000, that's a lot of money. That's billions and billions of dollars, over $150 billion of economic activity in the capital region alone. Now you talk about the whole state of New York and what could we do there? So if we live in the great state of New York, then let's make sure it is truly great. And we're a progressive state, so we need to be thinking about these things and how do we fill workforce shortages. So the federal landscape isn't helping us, but we're telling the right story. We're doing all the work that we can to try to get there. We're using our connections with, for instance, the NACU schools to help build student loan programs that are preferential for organizations that belong to that. So there are only 30 institutions nationally, and we have built a connection with a credit union consolidator that pulls together information from all credit unions for preferential rates for only the 30 institutions across the nation. That means you can still come to Sage and get a graduate degree at an affordable rate. They amortize over 50 years, so your loan rate is very low, very sustainable. I really honestly can't believe this exists. And the reason it exists is because the credit unions got together and said, wait a second, we are losing customers on our car loans and our house loans. They don't want to make money off of educational loans, so they're doing it basically at cost for us. But they do want to make money on their house loan and their car loan, so they want you in the door so they can then make sure that you are a loyal customer going forward. And so we have capitalized on the system. I mean, we live in a capitalized system, so let's just use it. So those things are in place, but I will tell you that there is nothing more powerful than your scholarship dollars. When you give to our scholarships and when you give on annual fund day and when you give through your planned gifts and through your major gifts and your matching gifts to the Sage Forward Fund, every penny of that goes to support the work that we're doing with students. And it has never mattered more than today because of that federal landscape. Long-winded answer. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you personally as an educator, as an alum of our college. The efforts that you're doing to get the word out there about the importance of a college degree is huge. And you're very forward-thinking, and you made math seem very simple there for us. Thank you. Yeah, you really are impressive. I don't know where you're getting your energy. Maybe you don't sleep.
We're changing lives. It matters, right? It builds a lot of energy.
Absolutely. But what else can alumni do to help support what's happening now?
Yeah, well, I already started that conversation. I did promise you an announcement. I gave you other news.
Finishing with that one.
Okay, great. All right, good. So first of all, everybody in the room, I don't need to preach to you about what to do because you're already doing it. This room represents the time, talent, and treasure of so many people. And all I can say is, get more of you to do this work. It is incredible. Just being here is inspirational. It builds energy. It builds that connection to who we are. Time, talent, and treasure every time. When you mentor a student, when you talk to a recent alum or a current student, when you write a letter to prospective students saying, you should be a nurse and you should do that here, that matters so much because there's an army of people who love Sage, and that army, we need to mobilize you now. So that time is so critical. Your talent. When you connect us, when you put us online and talk about what your experience is and how talented you are and how grateful you are about that life-changing experience you had at Sage, if you're on social media, post about us. Do whatever you can to showcase what is happening at Sage. When we post, connect to it, forward it on to all your friends, because that word of mouth is the number one thing, right? It is so important, that work. And of course, your treasure, and I'm just grateful. I mean, every person in here has given of their treasure to help support the students of the future. We know that many of you were supported by the people who came before you. Margaret Olivia was only able to attend Emma Willard School because somebody else gave her the support to do it. She was a scholarship student. She couldn't afford to have that life transformative experience. But just think about what she accomplished. She was independent. She worked as an educator at a time when women were just not getting that opportunity. And then happened to fall in love. I don't know how it happened, but with Mr. Russell Sage, and good for them. Genuine love between two people who are as disparate as you could possibly imagine. And when she had the opportunity to give back, she gave back with everything she could. And that's really why we exist today. It is why we are winning today, is because it is that sentiment that allows us to be who we are. So we are born out of that time, talent, and treasure. And we can only continue to exist with time, talent, and treasure. So continue to connect, continue to do all the things you are doing, and strong arm all of your friends and alumni and connections to get involved, to connect, to be part of it, to get on our webinars. All we want to do is know you're out there and connect with you with what's happening at Sage, to really connect your great experiences to the great experiences that are ahead.
Wonderful. Matt, you promised us some scoop.
Yeah, so on the Thursday, we signed contracts with two wonderful faculty who are going to enhance our entire performing and visual arts programs. So you all know that we have a strong history here at Sage of performing and visual arts. We have the beautiful Opelka Gallery. We've got an incredible School of Art and Design. We've got the remnants of the New York State Theater Institute right here. You're sitting in a beautiful venue that most colleges don't have. You walk across the way and we have a 1,200-seat theater that many colleges would drool over. Okay, so it needs a little love, but it's sitting there. We've got some wonderful faculty who have kept it warm and moving forward. And we hired a Broadway star who's a consummate educator. He's built top 10 musical theater programs at two separate institutions, one in Texas, for goodness sake. So if you can do it in Texas, you can do it anywhere. We've hired an arts administrator who knows how to connect the disciplines of the arts to the world, the multifaceted world of employment in the arts. So we know we've built a master's in teaching degree. There is a huge shortage in arts teaching. a 7% growth rate for teaching in the arts right now, which exceeds the average rate of growth for disciplines by 2.5 times. The arts administration world is full of jobs for people who know what they're doing in the arts and also are willing to do the work that it takes to move the arts forward. And of course, many students will want to pursue their dreams of being on Broadway, and they're going to be able to do that all here. So Monday, I woke up this morning to an incredible publicity plan that Jen Gish has put together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Monday, they're coming down. We're going to put together publicity. We've got some plans to do some renovations of some spaces. When you think about what does it mean to be a comprehensive university, it means we can't be one thing. We can't be healthcare, we can't be nursing, we can't be PT, OT, we can't be pharmacy. And if we are going to go into living up to our name of Russell Sage University, it means we need to make the investments in entrepreneurship we are doing over in the Moss Building. We're working on a whole big project to make that into an entrepreneurship and innovation hub for the city of Troy. And that's really critical, and that's exciting, and that's a great investment in what we do on the entrepreneurial side and our management side. We're making these investments in criminal justice. We need that creative thinking part. It is a top 10 employability skill, and if we aren't the experts in creative thinking at a place that has a history of this work, then what are we doing? How are we really Russell Sage University? So across the entire spectrum, we are making the appropriate investments to get us to where we need to go. And just like Sage Hall, it's beautiful, it's shiny, it's new, it's exciting, but underneath the hood, it is financially solid and it makes financial sense and it is sustainable. And I think that really is what is so special about this moment in time, is our ability to do that and the number of people in the room who have vision and can help deliver that forward. That just makes us strong. So thanks so much.
Matt, thank you to you and your leadership who are bringing us into the future. It really means a lot to us as alums to know that our alma mater is on the right path. But now I feel like we need to move down to a tent and
Great.
maybe have some lunch and give out some awards. Would you join us?
I would love to. Thank
Great.
you all for being here.
Thank you all for coming this morning.
Thank you.
Welcome.